Be live. Hello, guys, and welcome back to my stream. Today, I am really excited to announce that we're going to be working on a new project. I decided that I'm going to just put off Fairy Court Braum for another time because there wasn't as much excitement around that, and with the news of Vanguard coming officially somewhere around like the 27th of February or near the end, we have a clear deadline of uh, where we need to put out the skins. And so I decided to cast a vote on Twitter asking you guys like what should my next project be as the final playable custom skin. And everybody voted for, well, I mean, the vote was split, but the Zilean ASU ended up winning, and I'm really excited because I feel like this champion has needed an update for a long time. His in-game model is pretty outdated, along with Gragas, but we're going to be working on Zilean today and bringing his LOR depiction to life into League. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys the base Zilean model. So let's pull that up. And we're just going to see what his current depiction is in game and where we should go from there to utilize the most of this new model. So he has 3,973 polygons, which is by far the lowest amount I've ever seen for a League of Legends champion. I think Gragas is pretty low too, but this is very, very optimized for a time when we don't really need assets to be that optimized anymore. Everybody's using higher end computers, and the game is able to be run at a smooth speed with much higher polygons and characters. So this is very much outdated. Yeah, so let's see what kind of bones we're working with. So he has a pretty bad rig, I would say, because he has, oh, that's the skirt. So he has a back skirt bone. He has a couple, two in the front, and then two on either side, which is pretty good actually. And then he doesn't have a sleeve bone. He has a hand joint, okay, and then one single joint for all of his fingers. And then another one, just to add some extra bending. So that's pretty bad, I would say. I don't know what this joint does. I guess that's for VFX to be slapped on. Then of course he has all these extra bones for his clock that he's strapped to. And this is able to be separated from his main body, which is great. And then he has just a head joint. Okay, so there's no hair joints. His beard does have a set of joints. Okay, it's not bad. So he's missing a lot of stuff. And with his new LOR depiction, we're seeing that there's a lot more bones that we're going to have to add. So what I'm going to do is actually show you guys. We're going to take a look at his LOR depiction and just kind of create a very basic block out of what type of bones we need. So I'm going to crop into this character. Okay. So I'm going to use a yellow color. And we're just going to start figuring out what kind of bones we need. So obviously we need like a basic skeleton. We need a hand. We need, the arm, the shoulders. Then his spine, of course. And that breaks up to the hips. which then breaks up into the legs and a couple of foot joints. Okay. And then he'll need the head joint. And given that his mustache covers a lot of his actual mouth, we might not need a mouth rig, but at the most we can maybe like open and close his mouth. So we'll have a little joint for that. And perhaps eye movement, I guess. I'm not really sure, but might as well, I guess. So we'll do that as well. And then he has these eyebrows that are floating, as we can see on the 3D model. So he's going to have some eyebrow joints as well. And then obviously the hair is going to be like a couple big joints. He doesn't really have too many like large strands of hair that are kind of flying out. So what I might do is add like 3 sets of joints or chains of joints for the hair. So that way I can kind of like squish and squash the hair around for the animations. And then he's going to need some sleeve joints. So I'm probably going to add like something like that, which kind of connects to his elbow and then veers off away from his hand. And then he's going to need a set of joints for his loincloth beard here. It looks like he has like 2 tassels here, so we're going to add joints for those as well. And that'll really help to add a flowing movement whenever he's floating up in the game. Okay, and I think that's about it. He'll have the beard joint as well. And the mustache, because why not? Okay, so it looks like a mess, but now we kind of have an idea of, okay, so these are the sets of joints we need. We're going to need like all of his fingers. We're going to need the sleeves, the loincloth, which will be utilized in different ways for his other skins, and the basic skeleton, the beard, the hair, the eyebrows, and all that. So let's get started on his Zbrush sculpt. And I'm also going to play some music so we have some something to listen to. So what I did was I took this character, or this model that I made, which is like a basic male body, or like a standard. And so this is just the model that I'll be using for like all of my characters pretty much. And I can just I can reuse the textures, the sculpting. I try to make it as close to like the ideal male body, I guess. So that way I can kind of reuse it for any characters that I make. And so what I did was I took that body and just kind of proportioned him to what I think would make sense for Zilean. So for Zilean, in all of his depictions, he seems to be like a frail, skinny, old man. So we wanted to kind of get that body type accurate here. And I also looked at Caitlyn, because she is another champion who got an ASU. And this is what she looks like in game when she's stripped down to her base body. She's got, so the proportions are a little bit out of whack, and it's not supposed to be accurate to real life because obviously we're viewing the champion from top down. So when we view her from top down, she looks pretty normal. She looks, you know, skinny, probably tall, I guess. But yeah, when you're viewing her from top down, you can see how she looks more normal. But when you're viewing her in front view, you can see her neck is pretty tall. Her legs are obviously pretty long, and her arms pretty skinny. And that's because she's holding this big gun, so we want the gun to stand out a lot more. And that's what they did, the artist that made her. So for Zilean, we are kind of doing the same concepts Face Caitlyn is 60% leg and 40% torso. Yeah, it's pretty insane. But yeah, it's all made for that top-down view. So for Zilean, we kind of applied the same concepts, although a bit more realistic, because he's going to be floating, so he's going to be taking up some vertical space, which means that we're kind of scrunching up his model a little bit compared to Caitlyn, because she's obviously grounded, she's walking on the ground and all that, but he'll be floating. So I feel like these proportions make sense for him. I made his head a bit smaller, so it's kind of like Caitlyn. Let me see if I can show you guys Caitlyn underneath. So there's Caitlyn underneath. You can see her torso is a lot scrunched up than his. Yeah, I think we can work with this. We can see the Zbrush sculpt is a lot, for LOR was a lot more realistic. So I think we can get started with this and just start blocking out his shapes. Also, I ended the Vandal Runeterra, or the Legends of Vandaltown, whatever the new Riot Forge game is for the Vandaltown. I added some music from that. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually start out with the sleeves. And I'm going to grab a cone. Let's see, cone 3D. It's kind of like beach music. Turn off all this stuff that I don't need. So I'm going to start with a cone, dynamesh it a few times, or subdivide, I mean, and then dynamesh. Then I'm going to copy it. And we're doing a cutout. So we're going to do live boolean so we can see what's happening. So I'm starting with the sleeves first. Okay, that's dynameshed. Gonna merge this down. And really lower subdiv and dynamesh. That should cut out. There we go. Cool. And then I'm going to use my knife rectangle and just cut off that part. Zilean is mostly clothes, so would you do the underlying anatomy or would you prioritize his face because it's the most anatomy heavy? I think this is good enough for like his anatomy. Like I don't really need to go into detail with like how his body's going to look underneath the clothes because we're not really going to see that. But I will be reusing this later on when I make a base body. So if for some reason League custom skins are good to go with under Vanguard, like we can still use custom skins and all that, then I can have a base body for Zilean. So any other custom skin creators who want to utilize the rig and make cool stuff for Zilean can reuse the base body that I'll make. So that will be reused, and I'll do like fully textured for that, so that way all people have to do is just add clothes to him. I usually do that anytime I work on a champion. I make a base body for them ahead of time. So it looks like the sleeve kind of comes down to his hand. I'm going to squish it just a bit. Might have it going towards his back. And then I'm going to use the move brush, kind of position this more. And I'll probably turn on backface mask. What happened to the music? Hello? Is my stream good? Yeah, my stream's good. I was wondering if the Wi-Fi went out or something, because the music just randomly stopped playing. There we go. All right. So we're gonna have the sleeve going towards the back. And then most of his model is mirrored, aside from the hair and some of the gold pieces. So we should have a pretty easy time making him. Looks like the sleeves get pretty tight around the shoulder. I don't have symmetry mode on. Looks like it maybe scrunches up at the elbow and then it flares out. So I'm gonna try to find the elbow, just right here. Turn on AccuCurve. Turn off AccuCurve again. And I angle the sleeves up so we can see some of the wrists. We're gonna pull them up a bit more. So they're about there, seems good. I really want it to feel pretty loose here at the back, so I'm gonna kind of undo some of what I did there. All right, I think that's good enough for the sleeves for now. Can always go back. And let's make his torso. Switch to lasso. And I'm not really sure what it looks like underneath his beard. Let's see if I can get a glimpse. I guess it's like a basic shirt, perhaps. I'm gonna switch over to the mask pen tool. Is a Zilean reference you are using 2D? Why does it look like a 3D render? I have a variety of depictions, all from LOR of Zilean. So there's actually a 3D model of him out there that they use for the level up animation, because they usually have like little clips that play of the character leveling up. And they did make a 3D model of him, but obviously we don't have access to that, so I can't like take it. So I had to remake him pretty much. But yeah, it's we have one 3D reference too, I guess, and then the rest are 2D illustrations. This one is a 2D illustration. So Riot is already as a 3D ASU Zilean. Yeah, they did make that version of his character into a model. but they haven't announced him or his ASU coming, so it's obviously Riot works pretty slow. So I'm kind of making those shoulder pads. Let's see. I'm gonna inflate just a little bit. Let's see, deformation, inflate. Okay. And my goal is to just get those shapes, and then I will zero mesh or dynamesh, whatever, and we'll have much better topology to work with. So this looks pretty round, this shape. Kind of want to bring it down just a bit. I'm going to modify topology and close holes. Make sure, oh, yeah, I can see. I need to delete the hidden and then also close holes. There we go. All right, I'm going to dynamesh. Much lower resolution, not that low. Just kind of get rid of the muscular shapes. Smoothing out the shape. All right, and let's check out the 3D model. All right, we'll leave that for now and then move on to, I guess, the pants. I have a question. Since Riot's style is hand-painted, how do you not lose the detail of the high poly sculpts through your topology, since hand-painting does not use normal maps? I usually do a variety of things. Like I will combine the curvature map and the ambient occlusion, and then I use a gradient map with levels on top of that just to kind of bring out the contrast more. That's the only way that I personally have done it. Like I haven't really played around with transferring my high poly details over because I'm very comfortable with just hand painting most of it. But that is a way that you can get those details just using the ambient occlusion from the high poly sculpt and the curvature. Sometimes you can take the normal map and like make it into a height map and play around with the levels there as well. So you can kind of get some details, but you'll have to like repaint most of it. It's not exactly perfect. Doing his little belt wrap. A dynamesh, or subdivide, I mean. kind of keep it with straight edges. I think that looks good. And then he has these baggy pants, kind of like the Echo pants that are kind of tight at the top and then loose towards the knees. So what I'm going to do is take his face body and then kind of mask out his pants. Come down to his knees. Mask pen tool. That is good. And then we delete hidden. And deformation inflate. Cool. And then I also want to inflate, inflate at the bottom here. So it seems to get kind of bigger at the middle. And it tightens back down. They're a little too baggy, I think, but okay. I'll adjust it with the move tool. I really want this to be believable as baggy pants. What was it you said? I'm quite new to hand painting. Can you explain what is a curvature map? As the guy who made the Lightning McQueen bar. Oh, a curvature map is... Okay, it's a bit... I don't really know the exact way to explain it. But basically, if you have like a hard surface object, like if you think of like a car, for example, like there's a lot of hard edges, it'll basically take those creases and carvings of the actual model and turn it into like black lines. And then it'll also outline those with white edges sometimes. And so it does that for the whole model. Like any hard edge, it will have those creases, which is really nice for reutilizing. Okay, I'm going to Dynamesh. So that's kind of what a curvature map is. I'm sure there's a better way to explain it, but I think for a beginner, that's understandable enough, I hope. His butt is very pronounced here, so let me kind of smooth that out. Obviously, we're not really going to be able to see underneath here, so because he does have this coat tail, I guess, or robe. I also don't think he needs that much of a dumpy. Okay, and then I'm going to hide his legs here, make sure I have symmetry. We don't want that much of a dumpy because we want the coattail to hang pretty close to him. Okay. That feels good where it's at. I think I maybe want to lower pants a little bit. Just kind of doing my best to follow the 3D model. Okay. And then the next thing we'll do is, I guess the coattail is really the only thing left. I might actually use a cone. So let's use a cone. I should have duplicated the one I used earlier, but I wasn't really thinking ahead. So So delete lower subdiv, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do the cut now. It's going to be a much bigger cut. Okay, and then make sure that we dynamesh. Give that some time, and then duplicate. Set that to cut out. I think that's good enough. All right, that should be dynamesh as well, and then we can merge down. Then we dynamesh, and that'll make the cutout. Give it some time to think. All right. And then we want to cut out, let's see if we can do it more clean. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. All right, and then this is his skirt. Realizing I might need to make his legs a bit longer. So I'm going to switch over to mask select. Because we want to be able to see that in game. It's not, we don't want it to be like fully covered by his coat. So he will have some much longer legs. I think that makes sense. Dynamesh here. Actually, what I need to do is duplicate this, use the your mesher, and then project all the details. But we're not really worried about the base body right now. We're just kind of focusing on his base default skin. So it looks like the coattails kind of flare out. Also, I'd like to see the back. Okay, the back is completely covered, so. I think that's good. Let's do a dynamesh and just kind of smooth out these curves. Okay. Alright, and then his feet are just pretty simple. They just have bandage wraps, and we don't really need to model that. We can just get away with doing that through texture. So we're going to leave those as is. And it looks like we have all of his clothes done, so really the only thing left to do is just start working on his hair. So I want his hair to stick out towards the back, just like this 3D model. And then I'm going to put a, let's see, bend curve modifier. I'm gonna add some smoothness actually not smoothness, curve resolution. That'll allow me to actually pull this back. So I'm just getting out the main shape of his hair. We will go in and actually sculpt without symmetry turned on. But right now, just kind of blocking out like the length of the hair, the thickness. It really bubbles out kind of towards the bottom there. It's almost like an afro. And it kind of curves up. I'm going to take a look at the 2D illustration. His hair is quite large. I think for the silhouette, it makes sense to exaggerate that. I really like this 2D illustration. I feel like it's glorious. And then the 3D model is a little more subdued, I think. Kind of like a lion's mane or something. His hair is not really that long. I think around there is good. Okay. And then let's do the beard. I think I might add a little bone here at the middle, just so I can kind of move it like back and forth like that. Out there roofing, drop loose slowly. At first we'll go tumbling, places unknown, nothing but the stars to run away. And though the sun is setting, tomorrow looks so bright. It's hard, it's when you're by my side. No matter what we do, together we'll see it through. Add a bone, like as in using Z-Sphere? No, I'm not going to be rigging him in Zbrush. Not at all. Without you, it's not the same. I know it's true, but it's better. It's me and you. I think it's good to have a little gap there. And let's kind of do those sides where it comes into his cheek. I don't even think you can rig a character in Zbrush. I know you can like use it to like pose them. I think that's how you use it. but I don't think you can like fully rig a character. Yeah, I mean rigging the character in Maya, yeah. It does have, kind of varies. Like this one kind of has like a little cut there. This one doesn't. I'm not really sure. This one kind of does. This one obviously you can't really see because it's a different perspective. Okay, this one does, so. Yeah, you can use ZSphere to kind of like pose up your character. I've only done it once, and then never again. Because I'm like, I create stuff for like characters, for like game props and stuff. And I'm not really like a sculptor, like, so I don't really have any use for it. All right, let's do the mustache. You can also use snake hook. Oops, what did I just do? His mustache seems to be very long. And then, yeah. The 3D version also does the same thing, so. I'm gonna make it symmetrical because I can add the asymmetry later. But for the rig, I think it makes sense to kind of have it symmetrical. Can I ask you a question about game hard surface? Sure. I kind of inflate, bring back the thickness. Alright, and then I want the mustache to kind of go towards the back of his head. I think this length is good. It's not really necessary to make it like super long thing. When I dynamesh at a high resolution. And then use backface mask to kind of flatten out the front here. I don't really know too much about hard surface because I haven't really messed with it that much, but I'll do my best to answer your question. When I scroll through Twitter, I noticed the hard surface artist subdivides for their hard surface game models, but games do not use subdiv and it's usually used in film. So do they bake the subdiv model onto low res? Yeah, that's how they do it for games. Might make it a bit longer. Wacky curve. Alright, that's good enough for now. Kind of get an idea of how long his mustache will be. I think I'll make it come down a bit more. It's kind of floating up there. He kind of looks like a sultan. Alright, and then let's do the beard at the bottom. So because his beard is kind of tucked into, what the heck's going on? It's kind of tucked into the belt, and then, well, not the belt, whatever that wrap is. And then it kind of just separates into a loincloth. It won't be necessary to create bones that kind of link all of this together. I could just keep this top part of the beard separate, and then the bottom part with a root to the actual hips or whatever. I'm gonna open up this skirt a bit more. It's kind of giving me some curvy lines, which I don't like. I'm gonna cut off whatever this piece is here. Kind of keep things cleaner. Now, because this is in front of him and he's gonna be like floating, going forward towards stuff. In terms of the animation, like his beard is gonna be going back towards him. And it looks like on this illustration, it kind of goes off to the side. So I want to do enough space here to where I can actually do the same thing for his end game. And let me look at the old Chet concept, because he did the end game concept as well, which I don't have here for some reason. Old Chet, Zilean ASU. Alright, here it is. Doesn't he have this posted on Twitter? That's a bit higher quality. So this is a good idea for how he will look in game. So yeah, you can see he did the same thing with putting his beard over to the side. So we want it to be long enough to where we can actually do that. And I'll probably just keep it like a straight line. Instead of curving it. Alright, and then he also has those tassels here. So let's get those in. I'm gonna do a Q grid. This gives me like a pretty nice rectangle piece with even topology. And these appear to be much longer than his beard. And if we refer to the 2D concepts, it's about the same, if not shorter, than his beard. For baking using a high-res onto a low-res, their UV does not have to match, right? I think I have to retopple my hard surface into low poly, so the UVs would be different. No, they don't have to match the same UVs. They can be different. The baking is what solves that. Like, as long as they're in the same like world space, and you should be able to bake the high topo into the low poly like that just fine without any issues. Sometimes it helps to like kind of inflate the high poly a little bit, so it'll kind of like act as a shell on top of the low poly. I think I want to keep this a little bit shorter than the beard. And then we add dynamic subdiv, take off the smoothing, and add some thickness. These are pretty simple little tassels. They don't really have like an irregular shape to them, so I can just keep them as a strip. Maybe add a little bit of subdiv. And mirror that over. Thank you so much for the advice and feedback. I'm getting better just by watching you work. Thank you. And you're welcome. I appreciate that. Maybe I'll make the beard a little bit longer. I think that's good. Trying to figure out how long I should make the back of his head. I feel like this is fine. That should be fine, I feel like. Doesn't need to be that long. Maybe a bit thicker. He's gonna look like Jana. Alright, so we had that blocked out. I'm gonna take a look at the 2D. Oh, we need his eyebrows, so let's get those in. I'm just gonna reuse the mustache. And cut off the other side. Knife rectangle. These need to be a lot shorter. There's no reason to like make it like the World of Warcraft's elves. I really like this new depiction of his character because it kind of makes him like a wise Tenzin kind of character, like from Avatar. He's kind of like the wise teacher, kind of has to handle a bunch of rascals, and he has like this extreme power to reverse time and all that. But at the same time, he's kind of, oh, this freaking cat in my backyard. At the same time, he's kind of, he's very nice. Very nice guy. Okay, I want to pull out the eyebrows a bit. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. Zilean. Has he said that? Trying to curve the eyebrows like they normally would be, and then do the Zilean thing. See how they did it for this model. They just kind of did it straight. Can't Killian the Zilean funny guy. Alright, so I think we're ready to start blocking out the actual secondary shapes of the hair. So we're going to break up the symmetry that we have going on. I'm going to grab these eyeballs that I made. Just kind of plop them in his eye sockets. There we go. He's got eyes now. All gooders. Alright, we're going to take this block out and just start messing it up. Using Aki Curve to kind of try and get this widow's peak. How long are you planning to stream for? I usually do an hour every time. So we have about 8 minutes or so. So not for long. Alright, and I'm just going to duplicate it just in case. And let's see. Turn on the lazy mouse. Hey Louise, welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here. So I'm just going to try and block out the different hair shapes and break up this silhouette. Using the damp standard brush is by far one of my favorite brushes. Not sure why the music stopped again. Okay. So I'm using Alt to do the inverse because the damp standard brush by default kind of does a crease. It digs into the model, and then using the Alt brush basically inverts any brush that you use. So for the damp standard brush, it will basically kind of like lift it out. Not sure why the music stopped. What the heck? Okay. This 3D model doesn't really break up the silhouette much in this area, which I don't really like because you can see how this is kind of like a circle. So we don't want the same thing for this model. We want to make sure you can really see the different layers. And then I'll add some secondary strands to kind of fly out away from the main one. This is just the main strand. His hair is very, it's mostly straight hair, I would say, but it kind of curls and waves around because of the wind. And you can even see that when his hair is like down. It's not really supposed to be curly. Can I ask an industry question? Sure, you can ask any questions. I will be wrapping the stream up here in 4 minutes, so if you guys have any questions or comments you want to make before I end the stream, make sure you do that now. I kind of want to do strand here at the middle. Something like that. Okay, and then let's bring back those connection to the beard. We want to see his ears, so I want to make sure that it's kind of visible from most angles. All right, and then I kind of want to block out the beard here as well. Where is the music, bro? Why did it stop on me? Let me pull up Spotify in my in here. Okay. Oh, I hate soul music. Super epic. I'm gonna turn on back face just to make sure I'm only working with the front part of the beard. It's okay to activate symmetry as we get over to the sides of the beard, where we're not really going to see that it is symmetrical. Is LinkedIn an online job site the only way junior newbie character artists like myself break through the industry? LinkedIn application is sad crying emoji because I've read people fill out like 200 applications a day. I mean, yeah, LinkedIn is it's really only meant to be like a place where professionals kind of create their professional like profile, I guess, and showcase their everything about yourself. So like all of the work that you've done, all of your experience and skills, and uploading your resume there as well. But then, like, yeah, there are jobs on there, like job listings, but I feel like it's really hard to get jobs through LinkedIn for whatever reason. Like, you're probably better off getting on Indeed or Glassdoor. There's a lot of other like job boards where you will have a better opportunity of actually finding something. Because I find that like LinkedIn always has like the same. Also, is the music put on? Check my volume. Let me put it a little bit down. It always has the same job listings, so there's not usually anything new. So you're better off going on like Indeed or Glassdoor. I would only use LinkedIn to like put yourself out there and like show your portfolio. And also connect with other people. But yeah, definitely look for like indie companies or what's it called? Internships and freelance work. All right, so we're at the 1 hour mark here. Bro is putting more effort than Riot for real. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is pretty good for today. Made pretty great progress, blocking out his base body for the default skin and figuring out what the bones we'll be using for all of his model and theoretically how those would move around. But yeah, I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Thank you for the advice, of course. You're welcome, Bean. We'll be streaming next week. There will be no more streams for this week. Let me turn off the music, it's getting a bit distracting. Yeah, 2 more streams next week. I'll be working on Zobi for one of them, and then we'll end on Zilean again. I might be excited enough to start with Zilean on Wednesday next week. Or we can just get to Zoe and try and get her out of the way as quick as possible. I don't know. I'm kind of excited with where Zilean's going. And I'd like to see him progress a lot faster. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, the notification bell if you want to be notified for whenever I'm going live, which is usually those notifications go out like 30 minutes before. And yeah, see you next week for when we work on Zobi and Zilean again. Thank you guys for joining. See you next time. Bye. All right, the end.